This thing cost me more than $300 US. Look, I can explain. Have you ever heard of the legend of one of the most expensive amiibo of all time? God, I wish that wasn't the one thing BOXBOY is known for. Alright, let's back up a second. The BOXBOY series is a series of puzzle games made by HAL Laboratory, the creators of Qbby, consisting of a trilogy of games with a 3DS and a recent entry on the Switch, featuring characters Qbby, QC, and the third wheel, Qd. They're a perfect complement to Qbby, and even if they're just squares of ice, they're still filled with personality and mysterious lore. Have you seen the official BOXBOY comics? I love their dynamic. And this is just the first sign that HAL Lab had the potential to create even more cute main characters for their games. So thank them for giving us Jobski. The games themselves are very well done puzzle platformers, using the ability to create boxes to craft a lot of unique scenarios with a dash of reflex challenges sprinkled in as well. BOXBOY is undoubtedly one of the best eShop exclusive Nintendo IPs around. Unfortunately, this video is not a series retrospective. Sorry folks. With the 3DS eShop having shut down in March 2023, BOXBOY plus BoxGirl on the Switch is the only remaining legally accessible entry in the series. And while it's still a very good game, it is an original entry and not a port of the first 3 games, which are no longer digitally available. However, the 3DS trilogy did eventually see a physical compilation, only in Japan. And I'm holding it in my hand right now. Guess how much this currently costs? The Hakoboy Hakozume box, or BOXBOY Stuffed Box in English, is the physical compilation of the first 3 3DS games. And it also comes with a soundtrack CD for the entire series, which on its own is a neat collector's bonus. But nope, they also had to go and make a Qbby amiibo. They had to put in a white cube sitting on an NFC chip and release this 3DS compilation about an obscure HAL Laboratory character 1 month before the Nintendo Switch launched. I saw this on a store shelf as I passed through a game store in 2017, and I thought to myself, oh hey, the amiibo is pretty cute, but I already have the first 3 games on the eShop, so I'll probably pass on this for now and maybe find a used copy down the line if I really want it. Guess what happens next? At least it's still funny that one of the most expensive amiibo is a literal white cube. So here we are, the BOXBOY Stuffed Box. Apparently that's what it's called. And this is an allegedly unopened copy straight from Japan. I can see on the back here you can just open this, but I believe everything in here should be sealed. There's no use brooding over how much I paid for this, so let's just get into it. Yep, that game is definitely sealed. Wow. I'm pretty sure even just the game itself fetches like quite a decent amount on auction sites as well. Not as much as the amiibo, but like still much more than the MSRP obviously. But yeah, I think this only ever came in the bundle. We shall open this up later, and I believe over in here we also have the soundtrack CD, which funny thing, give me a minute. Don't tell anyone, but I actually got I got the soundtrack by itself a couple years ago. So now I have 2 copies of the BOXBOY soundtrack. Yeah. This is so dumb. Anyway, yes, the soundtrack CD is probably the cheapest part of this entire bundle. So I'm just gonna put these to the side. Here we are. We're doing it for YouTube. We are unboxing the Qbby amiibo. I hope you guys are happy. I'm gonna try not to botch this. I'm gonna try not to botch this too hard, but I can't make any promises. Alright, just cut out the bottom here with scissors, and I think this should be good. This should be it. There we go. Yeah, I can access the inside. So here we have the manual for every amiibo. And if I can pull this out. Ah, yes. Hold on a second. Let me... hey, I mean, it works. Hold on. Use it right there. Give me a second. Let me put this back in here first. Once you just put it back on here, like this, we're all good. There we go. There he is. This hecking amiibo. Like, what, 6 years at this point? God. Boy, the BOXBOY box. I like that these previously digital exclusive games had a physical release. They're still great puzzle games and I've completed all of them. The soundtrack is very neat too. HAL Lab has had a very good track record with soundtrack releases for their games, so this is great. But whoa, the Qbby amiibo! Now to its credit, no, it's not just a literal white cube on a stand. I mean, it is if you squint, but it still has some nice touches, including bevels on the edges and not having the eyes just painted on. And yes, it has a support stand, but they do try and hide it a bit by having Qbby just sit there, and it's kinda clever actually. And that's all I have on the appearance. I hope you weren't expecting this entire video to just be me talking about how the cube is square and has 6 sides. So how many games did support the Qbby amiibo? Well, this physical compilation was first released alongside the third game in the 3DS trilogy by BOXBOY in 2017, so obviously that supports the amiibo. And what bonus does it unlock? Oh, I already unlocked it playing through the base game. The amiibo just lets you get it early. At least it still shows I scanned the Qbby amiibo though. That's a badge of honor. In actuality, scanning the Qbby amiibo lets you unlock the QC costume early, alongside a grayscale and Game Boy screen filter, which is cool. If you don't have the amiibo, you'll either have to complete every world in the game, or have save data from both the previous 2 games present on your system. What about HAL Laboratory's other games, like the Qbby series? In each of the platformers from Planet Robobot onward to the Switch entries, tapping amiibo gives you bonuses like point stars and healing items, with the Qbby series amiibo giving you the greatest bonuses. So it makes sense that Qbby would be among the highest tier amiibo as well, with the exception of Robobot, which predates the amiibo. They even still list it as a compatible amiibo in the Japanese overview trailers to this day, which... okay, we'll get back to that in a bit. But these are all either just early unlocks or in-game items that you can get from other means. What about exclusive bonuses? Well, there is only one game so far with an unlockable that is truly exclusive to the Qbby amiibo, and that is... Qbby Battle Royale. This cube was so robbed. Okay, I'm partly kidding. I'll admit I've barely played this game at all. I know people online say it's a mid-Qbby game, but I suppose to me it's definitely just a simple minigame collection at best that suffered from being a 2017 3DS release. I'll always thank it for giving us an actual sleep moveset though. And to its credit, it also has some of the best looking ability costumes, even compared to Forgotten Land. Like come on, you gotta at least give it points for this Meta Knight design. The fact that this game has an exclusive costume unlocked via the Qbby amiibo is just the cherry on top. And they did not skimp on it at all. Check out the Qbby hat for the bomb ability. Like look at this, the explosions from your bombs even have blocky effects. Like I don't care if bomb is not the most viable ability in the whole game, I just love this. Well, time to go online and show off my Qbby hats. So, what other cool things does the Qbby amiibo specifically unlock? Well, you can get his spirit in Smash Ultimate immediately using it. And that's it. Even the one Switch entry in the BOXBOY series doesn't have amiibo support of any kind. Which is a shame because the opportunity to reprint the amiibo in time for it was right there. Hence my main reason for making this video. The Qbby amiibo is one of the very few discontinued amiibos that are still technically supported by current titles but has yet to see a single reprint, and its price just happens to be one of the most inflated of the lot. You'd honestly think some of the third-party amiibo like the Gold Shovel Knight or Mega Man amiibo would be more sought after, but no, white cube! I know Nintendo probably doesn't have much incentive to reprint this amiibo, seeing that it basically acts as yet another Qbby series amiibo in recent games, but just on the off chance HAL is making more BOXBOY games, I do think he really deserves a second print. Without counting Smash Bros., Qbby is one of the only first-party Nintendo characters from a smaller franchise to get an amiibo, next to arguably Chibi Robo, and the only character from an eShop exclusive series. It's like if they randomly decided to have a Malo amiibo. So the fact that they felt this physical release was worth its own amiibo at the time is probably a miracle in hindsight. And just seeing it being resold at ludicrous prices and being infamous and highly sought after for just being a rare amiibo, it definitely gives some conflicting feelings as an actual fan of the BOXBOY series. But hey, while there seems to be no signs of things reversing course anytime soon, I can only hope for the other BOXBOY fans out there that HAL is still working on more BOXBOY games for the Switch, and that somehow they remember that this amiibo still exists. I mean, they still knowingly put it in their overview trailers. They have to know how much this costs for someone wanting to get it nowadays. Imagine if they do reprint the Qbby amiibo, expand its functionality in the Qbby games, and we get more BOXBOY references in the mainline games than just a Stone Kirby cameo. I crave for more synergy between HAL developed IPs, dude. And hopefully this video will serve to spread the word, maybe even start a campaign to get the Qbby amiibo reprinted so that Nintendo can see the demand. Or maybe it drops the second-hand price further up, who knows. Hasn't stopped some people from trying to list the whole thing at Jesus Christ!